We had a question. A guy messaged us, and I wanted to finish on this one because it's a good topic. A guy was asking us about prep schools.
Yeah.
So he was just kind of asking for our thoughts on prep schools, and it's starting to get trendy and popular in Ontario and in Canada, because in the States, like you were saying the other day, it's always been more of a thing over there because people pay to go to private schools and stuff like that. So I don't know if you want to take it on that, or you want me to give a little bit more detail on it.
Yeah, it's something that I was never really familiar with, the prep school thing. In fact, but I remember when it was around my draft year, a couple guys like Jeremy Roenick got drafted first round to the Chicago Blackhawks out of the Thayer Academy. Well, I'm like, what the hell is that? Never heard of it. It was a prep school, and guys do get drafted out of right to the NHL out of academies. So that was the first time I've ever heard of it. Now I didn't come from money, so I didn't know what an academy was. I thought like Police Academy. It was a funny movie. That's what I thought academy was. But so the question was, are they beneficial? Is that what it was, or our thoughts on it?
It was just kind of in general. Like, what do you think of it?
Yeah.
Do you think it's worth going there? How do you evaluate? And then he asked if we had any resources to look at or whatever about it. So
so I'll
pretty general.
What I said, yeah. So it's number one to me. It's interesting. Let me say the good things about it first. Okay.
Yep.
I think I may be very wrong, but I think these academies / private schools were started, like the established ones, Shattuck St. Mary's. It's old.
Right.
Thayer Academy. These ones in Massachusetts and Connecticut and New York. They're old established ones. In Canada, I don't really know a lot. I know there's Ridley College in the Niagara St. Catharines area. I know there's Bishops in Montreal. I know there's St. Andrew's College in the Toronto area. There's St. Mike's. That's more of a school, I guess. Out west, I don't know a lot of them. But let's just say there's some. Ontario hasn't been a big hockey hockey player manufacturer from prep schools, I believe. Okay.
Yep.
So with these old established ones, I think the concept was some people have, like, it's a business, man. It's a business. Let's not bullshit ourselves and say we're trying to educate our youth. I mean, that's part of it, but it's a business, and we'll give you the best schooling, blah 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 blah. Live on residence. In order to do that, you need a lot of money. That's why they're in Massachusetts and upstate, like richer areas, and right. Yep. So you need money to go to these things. So that's number one. You would go to a private school to get better education. I think along with that, you had athletics. Right? And you had your sports teams and all that stuff. I think it started off as, especially in the United States of America, it was a feeder system to the colleges.
Yep.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
The only problem I see with that, being a kid or being my family, I can't go.
Yeah.
I can't go.
Right.
My dad was a butcher. Yeah. I can't go.
Sorry. For that. Yeah.
So, but nonetheless, what do I think of the concept? I think the concept's phenomenal. I think that if you can take your sport, okay, let me dumb it down now. So now what I do know in Canada, so like the American kids listening to this, it might be totally off from
your experience,
from what I know or the Canadian way. And then the out east, out west, there might be different academies than there is in Ontario. I can only talk about what I know. So the established ones, I think they have like good roots, and I think that you need money. I believe there's some scholarship availability, I'm sure, a little bit.
Financial aid stuff, yeah.
So that's number one. The newer ones popping up, in my opinion. No, let me say this. The concept of it is phenomenal. Even the smaller ones that are starting out. If I could I would say if I could build a business, Eric Wellwood and I were talking about this, if we could build hockey all over again, what I would like to see it happen is exactly what they do in soccer. So you've got the big Liverpools and the Barcelonas and all these things, and they start recruiting kids when they're young. If you're the best of the best, we'll pay you. We'll pay for your school. We'll develop you for the rest of your life. We own you. We own your rights, and you'll get paid. And with the day that you're not good enough, we could sell your rights to someone else, or you're just not good enough.
Yep.
I actually like that, because now you're in their system. You're learning their system. Their coaches are all on the same board. You're just going to be one of them. So I like that system the best. So I think the next system after that would be the private school academies, right? Mm-hmm. No drafts, no bullshit.
Right.
So the academies I like, because you get up and you go to school. Everything can be done within a school day. You can go home at night and relax. providing it's good. But the concept itself is good. I don't know how high end, and I've seen guys get drafted in the OHL from some of them. Some spent a year or two developing there. I don't know how high end the school is, if we call it like elite level school.
You're talking
it
about,
doesn't
like,
matter.
They talk about like the academic part of the school?
No, the high level hockey.
Hockey.
Yeah.
Right.
The academics, well, I could flip a coin. You can go to a school it's for real. You go to the other ones and it's so you can get hockey players or athletes. It's pretend. There's a lot of pretend out there.
Right.
So, and I would even say that even the established ones who knows how serious they are about either.
Right.
The other thing about a lot of the academies is they have team A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Like, how many teams does a team need, right? Is it really development? So it's like, it is what it is. It is what it is. But anyways, the concept of it is phenomenal, because in Ontario, in most of Ontario, except for Toronto doesn't necessarily have borders, right? Or restrictions on where you have to play.
Yep.
For the most part of Ontario, if you live in, let's say, London, Ontario, you have to play for the London Junior Knights. And if you live on the other side of the street and it's Elgin County, then you have to play for Elgin. Unless you get cut, then you can go. Well, that restricts you. And then what that does is it keeps the minor hockey organizations in control of you.
Yeah.
And I don't really understand why there's good and bad to that.
Yeah.
But if you're stuck playing for this team because you live on this street and the coaching and the whole system is brutal, or that year just happens to be brutal, then you're stuck with it.
Yeah.
Well, you have to eat a shit sandwich, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And deal with it. So I think from the private academy side, I think there's the model of it's fantastic. I think if you have a good program, I think it's great. I think it's great. I think there's a lot of good things. Now, my question always goes back to this: is what is the intent of going to a private school, right? Because if I can play, like, just being reasonable, if dollar for dollar, it's the exact same. If I can play for this school or play for youth hockey, and the quality of hockey and everything's the same, well, yeah, I'd go to that for sure. It makes sense to me.
To the private school or to
if everything's equal. Everything's equal.
Right.
It just makes sense. You can wake up, you go to school, you have your practice, you're with like-minded people, most likely. It makes sense. If the hockey,
if it's the same,
the development is still the same, then so. But my question is basically intent. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky.
So intent on the part of who? Parents or player? Or
here's my quote.
Okay.
In households, no, I start it this way. There are motivated parents and there are motivated players.
Ah, yes.
But very, very seldom do they live in the same house. And what I mean by that, obviously, I don't have to explain it to you, but so many times we see motivated parents where the kids are not motivated. And when the motivated parents are making decisions and pushing and all that stuff, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So, what is the intent? Is it mom and dad making this decision to get them to something better than what Aaron Ekblad did?
Yeah.
Or Matt Pumple or Zach Cassian? Like, is your son that much better that we need to get him a different program?
Yep.
Right? That's what I mean by intent. And is it your intent? So the other thing that I find, and this is not like, listen, I totally understand that there's some places out west and out east in Ontario that actually have really good programs. And it's a good step. Instead of maybe playing minor midget or major midget, you're in your school and you play, and maybe you can do both. I don't know. But like Gary Roberts' son just did it. He's with Hamilton Bulldogs now. Who's at St. Andrews. Chris Draper's son went there, but it costs money.
Yeah.
So to me, it's the intent. So what I find is that, and this is like, I know this can go a lot of ways with people, but I'm just being very honest and I'm saying what I see in Ontario, but it's I know it's probably relative, maybe in a different aspect all over the place. First of all, if you're playing, it doesn't matter. Actually, it doesn't matter where you play from the hockey development side, because if you're a good hockey player, they will find you. And we've said this a million times. So if you're playing for the Chatham Cyclones or the Windsor Junior Spitfires, or you're playing for the Toronto Marlies or the Detroit Honey Baked, or Chicago Mission. If you're good, you will be noticed and you will be found. Okay. If you're playing for Thayer Academy or Ridley College, if you are good, they will know who you are, period. So that washes itself out.
Yep.
Okay. So the intent is what I see most of the time. This just when someone in this area is getting to that minor bantam, minor midget, and they're not getting the attention, let's say, from scouts and people in the press and the stuff that they like. What happens is there's got to be something wrong with the system. So what happens when there's something wrong with the system? The coach isn't very good, so they think. That they need better players. They need to move away. They need all these things that because it's not their kid's fault or he's good. People just don't see it. That's when they start looking at other avenues because there's something wrong with this system. And that's where I think the intent is like, okay, like now you're just making work for yourself. Like you're not being true to yourself. Your intent, it is what it is. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, yeah.
The other side is that people say, yeah, but education is very important to me. And the funny thing is I've seen so many parents talk right out of their ass.
Oh, dude, I was just going to say, call bullshit on that. Yeah, I call bullshit on that.
I see the people that go to some of the academies, and I think they're good. Like I do. I think they're good. But I see some of them go that they say school's number one where the academy is not good.
Mm-hmm.
The education, they don't give a shit. It's about playing hockey. But really what the parents are saying, and I've seen it. Some parents have said to me, well, we just decided to go because they can get more ice. So you're telling me school's number one, but you want more ice. That's the reason.
Right.
I was speaking to someone last year in the pandemic, and school's number one. He was complaining about the practices were too late for this team because it's too late. Like the kids got to go to school, and then he messed up. Not 30 seconds later, he goes, yeah, I got him going to, the reason he was so tired is because he was going up a couple hours north to work with his agent on Wednesday nights. Then he had late Thursday practice, late whatever practice. Plus he's got school when they only have 2 courses during the pandemic time. And one of his courses in school was hockey class with just anybody that could put on a pair of skates. So you're telling me school is the most important thing? I don't think it is because your actions prove differently.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So as far as the prep schools and stuff goes, or practice, or what do you call them?
Academies.
Yeah, the academies. Go. I don't have an issue. But if you think that that's going to be the thing that develops you, it's not. Yep. It's not the system that will develop you. It's you.
Mm-hmm.
You're either good enough or you're not. And for some players, it's the best thing they could ever do because they're 17 years old and they're just coming into stride and the hockey's pretty good. Yep. And they're at an academy, they're skating and they're getting the workouts and all that kind of stuff. It's expensive though.
Right.
And for me, that'd be like, I can't do it. I personally can't do it or not willing to do it.
Well, I think what the default position should be is you have to evaluate what the quality of the academy is. Like we talked about this yesterday, like a case by case basis. Like it's not just good to go to an academy because it's an academy.
Right.
Right. So you have to look at, there's some bigger name ones that you were talking about. And if you can afford to do that, that's the other part too, right? Is like, I find a lot of people that might be willing as parents, they might be willing to put a strain on themselves financially to get their kids to go to one of these academies. Yeah. And it's like, it's just not necessary. Like it's not necessary. Even if it's better, even if it is a better opportunity, let's say,
right,
it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Like you can do that because you want to or whatever. But like you said, it doesn't really matter where you play. If you're good enough, you're good enough. So what my perspective on it is, if you have the choice to go to an academy, the first thing is like, it's got to be a good academy. Like they have to have a good program. They have to have proven to have, it's like any team you go play for, right? Or any choice you make, you want it to be something that's good quality. So just because there's an academy down the street doesn't mean it's good to go there because it's an academy and they'll get 3 extra hours of ice. Yeah. So as an example, there's a bunch of them now in our area that work kind of in tandem with regular school. And from the hockey perspective, they're not good. Right? So if you're a AAA hockey player, now you also go to this school that has hockey class, that ice that you're getting at hockey class is trash.
it's the worst thing you could do.
So all it is it's bad habits. You're not learning anything. It's not helping you with hockey.
Too much.
Yeah, it's an extra skate, effort, focus, and energy that you don't need to be spending.
Yeah.
So these are more the questions you need to ask yourself. So it's like, okay, if I'm going to go to this academy thing and I'm just going to do this, and this is my hockey now, that's one thing. And granted, you can afford it, and it's not an unreasonable move that you need to make. Like, then that's one thing. That's fine. But it's not just by default, like all academies are good or whatever.
No, and and to our point, not all are bad.
Right.
Or
it depends.
Or it's not like, I'm not even being 50-50 on this. Like, I think they're great.
Yeah.
If you can afford it and that's your lifestyle, I think it's great.